Greetings, Lord, and welcome back to the Lapis Kingdom. I am the Blue Regent, and I know what you're thinking. No, you have not gone back in time. No, this is not an old video. We are actually in a different village. Today, our goal is to figure out a couple different footprints and figure out some planning and layout for a very important building from Warcraft Orcs and Humans. So if you're ready, grab your pen, grab your workbook, and let's get started. So the building that we're going to be working on today, as I said, is an extremely important building in Warcraft Orcs and Humans, and it's also a very important building in all of the Warcraft games, and that is the farm. It's an extremely simple building, and when you look at the very old school graphics of Warcraft Orcs and Humans, you have something that leaves a lot to be desired. And I feel the same way about the auto-generated farms in Minecraft. And so a thing that the two have in common is, man, I wish you were nicer. And so what we're going to be working on today is kind of figuring out a few different... This village is so crazy. By the way, if you're wondering where I'm at, the village that we're in is the other village that we found during the... I believe it was the quarry episode, because if you head that direction, the direction we're looking right now, is where our village is. And I'm pretty sure while working on the quarry, we saw this. So today, what I want to work on is figuring out a couple different floor plans, footprints, layouts, not layouts, footprints for the farm. Because just like our houses, I want there to be a tiered level of farms. Basically, the bigger the farm, the nicer the house, the more land that's within the farm, and the more accommodations that come with the farm as well. So I've been doing a little looking around this village, and I don't think anybody lives here anymore. I think that one of the unfortunate side effects of this village being so close to our village is I think that everybody has fallen victim to zombies. And that makes me sad. And that is why I normally don't work near villages. Because things like this happen. And it makes me sad. But that gives us free reign to turn this village into a canvas. So let's do a little teardown. A fun thing that's probably going to end up happening from this town suffering the fate that it suffered is I may turn this into, over time, kind of a model for small settlements that aren't the settlements that we all know and love. So Goldshire, Moonbrook, Grand Hamlet, which you may know as Darkshire, those all exist in Warcraft Orcs and Humans. Those all have layouts. However, some of the missions in Warcraft Orcs and Humans aren't named places. They never really tell you where you're at. And also some of the places the orcs fight don't have names, and they never really tell you what they're called, and you have a rough idea of where they're at. So some of those places might be generic villages, almost like after all of the founding settlements were built, there sort of just became a template for how smaller towns are built. So we might get to play around a little bit with like a small church. We might get to play around a little bit with what does a smaller settlement's town center look like. And that's going to be a lot of fun because we aren't necessarily going to have to do that once we get to those places. Another thing that we can consider at some point is that while the Kingdom of Stormwind doesn't really have much of a role at all, at least visually in Warcraft 2, you do briefly see it in the expansion. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a rough idea of the inspiration of its layout for World of Warcraft. And it also gives us a few details that Warcraft Orcs and Humans doesn't give us. And some of those details are like coastal settlements. And I would imagine that a kingdom that is so close to the ocean would have fishing settlements. So this can also help us figure out not just how like a farming settlement would look, but also like a fishing settlement, or perhaps a mining settlement, or maybe even like not a full-blown settlement, but maybe, let's say, a barracks was put somewhere to deal with bandits or something, and camp followers kind of just started building up a settlement around it. Either way, having an entire village space to play around with as far as smaller settlement layouts go is exciting. So with this strait cleared out, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out where we want to put our first trial farm. And I think the space I want to use is this right here. I have this nice open area that I'm not going to have to terraform much to put a field, and the house can sit on the end of the road here. So I think I want a 7 by 11 building. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Yeah. There, we'll move it over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. So 1. And then we'll throw the door in the middle. So this house is going to be a little bit bigger than our main village's lower class house, because this is somebody who doesn't just work on the farm, but they possibly own the land too. It's still a smaller house because we'll think of it as they are working at like a small parcel of farm. But these aren't just like peasant farm hands. These are actual people who own the property, own the seeds, and maintain it, versus someone who just lives in the village and works for the local lord or a local larger landowner. So from here, this space is basically just going to be the field. And I'm not sure if I want to mark it out yet, because I might kind of play around with how I want the shape of it to work. Although I guess I could. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just make kind of a... just like play around with the shape a little bit. A lot of zombie activity somewhere. So we're just kind of trying to figure out a shape that feels... there, that can be the entrance. So there. And then with blocks and walls and stuff, we can just kind of have this be like the grain field. And so this is the farm of somebody who doesn't own a ton of land, but say maybe this parcel here is what belongs to them. And so they can afford to like own this house and maintain this property. But because of the cost of the two things, this is kind of what you're locked into. I like that. I like this a lot, actually. So the place I want the next farm to go to, and this is going to be the bigger of the two farms, is going to be over here on the outskirts of town. And I think I want the house to go roughly where this hill is. So I'm going to steal all this dirt, and then we'll figure out the footprint of this house. Oh! Hello! I didn't know anyone had survived. Here, allow me to assist you. Oh my goodness. I'm sure you've been through quite an ordeal. Is this your pet pig? Are there more of you in weird places? Well, I'm glad I found you. Maybe we can find you a new, safer place to live. Have you ever felt like moving to the current capital? Okay, bye. Well, now I'm glad I'm not going to tear down any more buildings because I would have felt bad if I stole this guy's bed. Oh, look at that, and now you're a Fletcher. Okay, so I got everything cleared out, and I think I'm going to do... I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh. 10, 11. I'm going to try to go 4 blocks bigger than that house. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now this may end up feeling too big. However, I kind of like the idea of this house being big because essentially most of this land is going to be farm for this. And one of the things I plan on doing is having this back part be like a flower farm because we've got all these tulips. Maybe having it be like this farm is both a food farm, but then also grows cash crops. And in this particular instance, the cash crop is flowers for dyes. I think the way that I'm going to do the flower farm is I might come through here, bone meal this area, break up all the grass, bone meal it again, bone meal it again, break up the grass some more, and kind of just keep doing that process until I feel like the flowers are filled out a little bit, and then sort of come up with like little walking paths and stuff for the landowner to gather the flowers. And so this back area is probably going to have a little bit more of an organic feel. And I think this front area is going to be where we start to get our more square rectangular farm shapes in. So let's see here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's see here. This part goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have to put dirt blocks here so that this could be the irrigation spot. So I think I'm actually going to pull this one back. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I have these two plots, and I think I'm actually going to this actually doesn't work. I would have to pull this in one because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which means that this would actually be a gap. So actually this wall has to come in one. I am glad I caught that now. So let's see, if this is an irrigation spot, then I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been going through and making sure that all my irrigation points are in the right spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And oh, well, I counted that wrong. And I do have a little overlap, but again, these fields are more decorative. 1, 2, 3, 4. These fields are more decorative than functional. Oh, this could be one wider. Neat. Oh, that's how it was the first time. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I just can't count. Anyways, these fields are supposed to be more decorative than they are supposed to be functional. Like, they work. They'll work. They just... I'm not relying on them for survival. And so it doesn't matter if there's a little overlap, because we're not trying to get the most amount of production out of them. And so I think this is kind of how I want the bigger farms fields to go. I'm not 100% sold on this size. I might want to bring this in one, actually. And by one, I mean one on both sides. So let's see here. I think I might actually bring the front back one, too. So this will make it 9 by 13 instead of 11 by 15. And I think that's a little bit more reasonable of a size discrepancy between the two houses, because even that 2 by 2 growth gives you a lot of room to play with. So I think this might actually be the size of this house. And one of the main differences that we can do with it, on top of it just being a little bit bigger, is how the inside gets decorated. Now that we figured out the footprint of the two farms, we're back in our survival village, and I'm super excited about what is going to happen next. We are about to take off. The berry farm has finished. The blacksmith is finished. The auto wool farm is finished. Oh, I did pick that up. Okay. The sugarcane farm is finished. And that is it. So look at that. 4 items taken off the board. And I can only actually think of one thing right now, and that is the Warcraft farm. That's the only thing that I can think of that's going on our to-do board next, which means that we currently have 3 empty spots. Are they going to stay empty? I don't know. Probably not. However, we are starting to get close to most of the buildings that coincide with Warcraft Orcs and Humans, plus some of our extra buildings that we just need to build as far as decoration goes. Now, more stuff may pop up, but we are kind of getting close to having at least all of our general idea stuff figured out. Plus getting this village set up for essentially being our main support hub once we start working on the city of Stormwind, which has me pretty excited. So I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but I'm going to bring it up again because we're getting closer and closer to this. Pretty soon here, we're going to essentially start more or less from square one back at spawn and start figuring out how we want to build Stormwind, which means that we're going to need to start coming up with some tasks that will allow us to unlock all of the things that we've been setting up in this village so that we have access to them while we're working in Stormwind. So again, I kind of am thinking about all of these early episodes as kind of like a season 0. You know, this is set up before we really get going. Think of it, you know, if you're into like movies and stuff, this is kind of pre-production. It's a lot of work, but it gets us ready for everything that we're going to need in the future. So once we get ready and going in what we'll call season 1, which is when we're officially working on actual settlements and locations from the Warcraft games, I want to have tasks that need to be accomplished before I can access the villager breeder once that gets going, or before I can access the sugarcane farm, or before I can access, you know, our skeleton spawner. So start thinking about what kinds of things you'd like to see as tasks. Maybe I need to make the skeleton spawner more efficient and decorate it better before I'm able to use it once we leave this village, quote unquote, for good. That is going to be it for today. Start brainstorming ideas on things that maybe you'd like to see me have to figure out before we can access this village once we start working in Stormwind. If it's something simple like I just need to build a road from Stormwind to the village to be able to have access to the village, put it in the comments and I will get a book going in game that's going to have a list of everything. I look forward to seeing you next time in the Lapis Kingdom. Have a great day. Bye.